We prepare for a month of peace, believing the enemy has been removed from the battlefield. But for the serious seeker of the unseen, there is a deeper, more intimate reality that remains. While the great devils are shackled, the pulse remains. There is a spiritual parasite that does not need to be in your room to influence you because it has already found a way inside your very anatomy. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, gave us a biological revelation that predates modern hematology by over 1,000 years. He said with exacting detail, "Indeed, Shaitan flows through the son of Adam as blood flows through the veins." This is not just a metaphor for temptation. This is a description of a spiritual circulatory system. It is the story of how the unseen world hijacks the seen body, and why the ultimate cure for this infection is the hunger of Ramadan. To understand how Shaitan flows in the blood, we must first understand what blood represents in Islamic eschatology. Blood is the carrier of the ego. It carries the oxygen that fuels our desires, the nutrients that feed our arrogance, and the heat that ignites our anger. In the realm of the unseen, Shaitan is created from smokeless fire. Fire requires a fuel source to survive, and in the human body, that fuel is the heat of our impulses. By entering the bloodstream, the Shaitan gains access to every organ, every limb, and most importantly, the spiritual heart. He does not sit on your shoulder like in the cartoons. He travels through the carotid arteries to the brain to trigger whispering. He travels to the limbs to make them feel heavy when it is time for Salah. He travels to the stomach to make it feel an insatiable hunger for what is haram. He uses your own biological pulse as a rhythmic drum to distract you from the remembrance of Allah. Every thought you have produces a chemical reaction in your blood. When you are angry, your adrenaline spikes. When you are lustful, your hormones surge. Shaitan, being a creature of energy, rides these chemical surges. Think of your bloodstream as a highway. When you are in a state of heedlessness, the highway is wide open. Shaitan moves at lightning speed, jumping from one emotional spike to the next. He waits for the moment your blood boils with rage. In that moment, he is no longer just a whisperer. He becomes the driver. This is why the Prophet, peace be upon him, told us that when we are angry, we should perform wudu. Why wudu? Because water cools the skin, which cools the blood, which constricts the path of the Shaitan. You are literally using physical water to put out a spiritual fire that is traveling through your veins. Brings us to the strategic management of the fast. Many people ask, if the Shaitan is in my blood, how do I get him out? The Prophet, peace be upon him, provided the tactical solution in the same breath as the warning. He said, "So constrict his paths with hunger." This is the secret of Ramadan that most people miss. Fasting is not just about feeling for the poor. It is a biological siege. When you stop eating and drinking, your blood volume slightly decreases. Your heart rate slows down. The heat of your desires begins to cool. From the perspective of the unseen, you are narrowing the highways. You are turning a 6-lane freeway into a narrow, winding path. As the hours of the fast progress, from suhoor to asr, the Shaitan who is flowing through you begins to feel the squeeze. He can no longer move with the same speed. His pulse is weakened because the fuel is gone. This is why you feel a strange sense of quiet in your mind during the late afternoon of a fast. It isn't just physical tiredness. It is the silencing of the internal enemy. The ultimate destination of the blood is the heart. In Islam, the heart is not just a pump. It is the king of the body. Every drop of blood that passes through the heart carries a message. If the blood is filled with the pulse of the devil, fueled by usury, haram food, and dark thoughts, the heart becomes covered in a black stain. The Shaitan attempts to dock at the heart, using the bloodstream as his delivery ship. Once he docks at the heart, he begins to broadcast his frequency. This is where waswasa becomes dangerous. It starts to sound like your own voice. You begin to think, I want to do this, or I don't need to pray today, not realizing that the thought was delivered to your heart via your own circulatory system. Ramadan is the oil change for the soul. By fasting, you are purifying the blood, you are filtering out the demonic frequencies. When you break your fast with halal and tayyib food, and you spend your day in dhikr, the blood that pumps through your heart becomes charged with light. In our modern era, the pulse has a new ally, the digital screen. When you look at something haram on your phone, your brain releases dopamine. That dopamine enters your bloodstream. The Shaitan rides the dopamine hit. He uses the biological high you get from social media to anchor his whispers deeper into your subconscious. This is why it is so hard to stop scrolling. It's because the unseen entity in your blood is pushing for the next drop of fuel. In Ramadan, we aren't just fasting from food. We must fast from the dopamine of the devil. We must cut off the digital fuel so that the blood can return to its natural God-conscious state. As we move toward the end of the month, the siege becomes more intense. The blood is at its purest. The Shaitan's paths are at their narrowest. This is why Laylatul Qadr is found in the last 10 nights. Your body has been hollowed out. You have become like a flute, empty of the world, allowing the breath of the divine to flow through you. The pulse of the devil has been replaced by the pulse of the Quran. When you stand in night prayer and your heart beats with the recitation, that blood is carrying the word of Allah to every cell in your body. You are literally reprogramming your DNA with the revelation. You don't have to wait for the first day of Ramadan to start constricting the paths. You can start today, March 1st, by practicing the sunnah of the pulse. Eat less. Don't wait for the fast to stop overeating. The less fuel you provide, the less heat the Shaitan has to work with. Cold water. Use wudu frequently. Cooling the blood is the fastest way to eject a spiritual intrusion. The dhikr filter. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said that the heart rusts like iron, and its polish is the remembrance of Allah. Every subhanallah you say acts as a filter for your bloodstream. Watch your inputs. Remember that what you see and hear enters your blood through chemical reactions. Protect your eyes as if you are protecting your very life. The Shaitan is an expert strategist. He knows your anatomy better than you do. He knows that as long as your blood is hot and your stomach is full, he has a home within you. But Allah has given you the master key. He has given you Ramadan. This year, when you feel the pangs of hunger, don't just think of it as an empty stomach. Think of it as chaining the internal Shaitan. Think of it as reclaiming your bloodstream for your Creator. The pulse of the devil is loud, but the voice of the soul is eternal. Constrict the paths, clear the heart, and let this Ramadan be the month where your blood finally flows with nothing but the nur of Allah.